Hello and welcome back to my channel and to day 15 / our mid-month coffee chat where we are going to talk habits, goals, and continue on with our Thankful for 30 challenge. Let's do this.
I know it's nothing new, but it's so good to see you.
Okay, so we are here today. If you have something to drink, awesome. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. I actually have tea today. I'm trying to cut back on some caffeine, and this was a little honey stick, but the honey all melted off, so now it's just in there as a stir. But I've got some tea here, I have my habit tracker here, and I want to talk to you both about just a mid-month check-in of how things are going with my habit tracker. In the event that you downloaded this and have been using it, I cannot wait to see how things are going for you. But we're also going to talk today about working through frustrations, and more specifically, getting to the bottom of what is frustrating you in the first place. Now, you might be wondering, how do those go hand in hand? And I promise you by the end of this video, we're gonna get there, okay? So I'm gonna sit this down so that I don't accidentally spill it on myself. But I wanna just check in. We are halfway through this Thankful for 30 challenge. We are halfway through the month. We are halfway through focusing and being more intentional on being thankful for things in our life, for people in our life, all of that. But also halfway through tracking some simple habits that we wanted to focus on this month that were going to help us be more thankful, that were going to help us feel accomplished, feel good, and make strides towards our goals, right? So as we're talking about this, our habits ultimately, if we're not completing them, we might be feeling frustrated, right? You might be looking at your habit tracker and being like, wow, yeah, I did fill it out for a couple of days and I haven't filled it out since. Now I'm frustrated. Or maybe you're looking at it and you're like, wow, I am absolutely crushing some of these things and others I am not, and I'm frustrated about it. Or maybe it has nothing to do with this habit tracker, and maybe you have things in your life right now that are just really frustrating you. Maybe you're feeling worn out and stressed out and burnt out and just like over it, right? And so maybe you are at a place where you just feel so frustrated about some things that the idea of working towards goals, working towards habits, anything like that is like the last thing that you even want to think about, consider any of it. So that's kind of what we're going to touch on. So let's go there first. Let's go there. Let's point out the elephant in the room, and that is you're frustrated. You're mad. You're angry about something or multiple things. Right now, I need you to be willing to dig deep and figure out what the heck is going on and why you are so frustrated. Now, when this happens to me, ultimately, deep down, I know what the problem is. And a lot of times I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to face it. I don't want to even think about it. I want it to disappear. I want it to go away. I don't want to mess with it, right? But that doesn't solve the problem. And I can speak from experience. It isn't until we are really, really getting to the root of the problem, just like we talked about in yesterday's video, until we get to the root of the problem, sometimes it's people that are frustrating us. And that's what we talked about yesterday, is that you may need to forgive somebody. That might be the thing that is frustrating you, and that is like you're holding that resentment against someone in your life, and therefore it's causing issues in every other part of your life. We touched on that yesterday, but now I really want to just kind of call it out and be really clear of exactly what we're talking about. Your frustration may not be based on a person. It may not, but it might be. And a lot of times it could be, it can be, and it is. For example, in married relationships or significant others, a lot of times things like that will start to bother us. Whether it's a little thing, like maybe you've asked your husband to put the seat down on the toilet or replace the toilet roll or whatever, and maybe you have just lost it for the last time you've walked in and the toilet seat is up, or you are out of toilet paper when you finally go to the bathroom or something like that, and you lose it. You're not actually that mad about that. There's probably something else that's bothering you, but that was the final like cherry on top that you took it out on. This is where we've got to get to the bottom. Why are you actually so upset? Is there something else going on? Same thing if there's something at work, if it's something in your health journey, whatever it might be, you have to be willing to dig deeper and not just let the surface level seat wasn't put down, toilet paper wasn't switched out, truly be your reason, because you know deep down that's not the actual issue. And even when you do maybe get upset at your husband, the kids, whoever didn't change that or fix that like you wanted, you might yell, you might get upset, you might do those things, but afterwards you still don't feel good. Like you still are frustrated because you haven't actually gotten to the bottom of it. You ever been there? Okay. I feel like we're speaking on a language here, whether that's the example or not. I feel like we're there. So when that happens, the last thing that you could care about, the last thing you care about, worrying about, doing, checking off would be habits. Working towards goals, showing up for yourself, putting in the extra time, the extra work, the extra effort, the extra energy. The last thing you want to do is wake up early and get a workout in. The last thing you want to do is do the things that you know are going to help you get further because you're not in the right headspace. You're definitely not in a thankful headspace. You are in a frustrated mindset. And that is what has to change if you truly want to keep making strides. Now, I'm not saying life is always going to be perfect and you're never going to feel that way again. You are. Been there, done that, will continue to be there and do that. But the difference is oftentimes when I get to that point, I am like, hold up, what is the actual problem? A lot of times I talk it out with a friend. I do a little vent session. And then once I kind of do that, I'm like, you know what? Let's think about this differently. Let's do the whole circle reflection where we're thinking about it from their perspective. Again, just like we talked about in yesterday's video of, that person probably didn't mean to hurt me or didn't mean to hurt my feelings or whatever, right? So this has to be something that you're willing to do. And if you're someone who is currently frustrated and you're watching this video right now, you're probably about to turn off the video because you're like, I don't want to hear this right now. This isn't helpful for me. But I promise you, if you can dig deep and try to get past that frustration, try to face that frustration, try to knock out that frustration so that you can move forward, you're going to feel so much better. Yeah, it's hard work. Yeah, it's not going to be super fun to do, but it will be worth it. Whether you work towards goals the rest of this month or not, let's not even talk about that. I just want you to not be in a frustrated mindset. I want you to be in a happy, thankful mindset. That's the whole goal of this challenge this month, everything. So that's where we are. I know that's hard. I know it's frustrating. I know sometimes the last thing that you want to hear, especially when you're in the thick of that frustration. But if you want to make positive changes in your life, you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to do the hard work. The reason people walk around angry all the time and mad at the world is because they aren't willing to do the work. And guess what? When you're not willing to do the work, you just become more mad and more mad and more mad and more frustrated, more frustrated, more frustrated. It's just this vicious cycle. But if you can interrupt that cycle and bring in some thought process, some understanding, some reflection, some digging deep to figure out what the heck has made you so upset in the first place. And a lot of times it's something really simple that can have a simple change, a simple shift to get you where you want to go. So now that we've touched on that, let's quickly touch on our habit trackers. Now, I really hope that you've done this with me this month, and it's really interesting to look at this. Some things I am doing so awesome on, and other things it's like, that could definitely be better. So the way that this is kind of worked out, that today isn't over yet, so I haven't filled out the 15th. I haven't filled out anything for the 15th for today, but basically it'll be really neat to see come the end of the month, the last day of the month, when I go through, because basically it's like the first part of the month is in the first row and the second part of the month is in the second row. So I'll be able to look through and compare like, hey, was my second half of the month as good as my first half of the month? Was it better than my first half of the month? Were they about the same? Because looking at this, I can be like, hey, I'm really struggling in some of these areas. I need to do better. I need to do better if I want to fill in more of these bubbles. Number one, honestly, the thing that I'm struggling with the most is having a creative activity. During the month of October, I was doing a Halloween puzzle. Well, once that got over, I was like, I could still do it. Then I didn't touch on it for a full week. And I was like, this is just taking up space in our house and we don't have enough room to take up space. So I ended up putting the puzzle away. So I either need to find a new puzzle or I need to find something else that I can be doing on a daily basis that gets my creative juices flowing, because I have 6 days, only 6 days so far out of the 15 chances I've had. Everything else is a lot better. I will say my floss and wearing my retainer definitely could be better. I've done it majority of the time, but not as much as I should. Bed by 9 p.m. Definitely need to do better on that. Tracking my nutrition could be better on that. But other than that, there are some things that I had crushed it every single day. There are some that I'm only missing like 1 or 2 days. And I feel really stinking good about that. And like I said, in last month's wrap up, the habit tracker has like changed my life. And I don't mean to be dramatic when I say that, but it is kind of dramatic. But I love doing this. I love checking in with myself. I love filling in the bubble. And I've been using my little highlighters that are been so fun to like make this little rainbow on my tracker. Isn't that so cute? So these are linked below if you want to grab this set or a similar set from Amazon. The tracker is also linked below. You can totally take it, edit it. You could just do the rest of the month. 15 days is a lot of days that you could be tracking some wonderful habits. So don't feel like just because we're in the middle of the month that you can't start tracking things right now. You absolutely can. You could just delete one whole row of the days and just have 1 through 15, and that would be perfectly fine. But feeling really good about this. I'm really thankful that I did this because this has just been a really fun and less pressured way to work towards some habits and some goals that are making me feel really good and happy in my life. And I will tell you that frustrations that have blossomed so far in the month of November that will inevitably happen, I have been able to full on face, address, reflect, move on, and come right back to feeling really good as I continue to work towards tracking these. Now, obviously some days I've missed, and some of those days definitely correlate with days that were rougher days that I didn't really feel like it. I wasn't in the mood, right? I find what's actually really interesting on here are the days that I don't get to bed by 9 p.m. are often the same days that I don't floss and wear my retainer. And I think it's because by the time I finally get to bed, I'm just like, I just need to get to bed. So it's really interesting that when I get to bed by 9 p.m., I usually floss and wear my retainer. So that's really interesting, right? So you can see trends with this, everything. So that's what we've got. I hope that you are not struggling with a ton of frustration, but if you are, I hope that this was serving and that has helped you kind of see staying in that frustrated mindset, staying in that angry, mad mindset isn't going to help you or anyone else for that matter. And making some simple swaps and changes could make all the difference and help you get back to feeling good, feeling proud of yourself, working towards habits and goals, and crushing the rest of this month and the rest of this year. So we will see you in tomorrow's video. Thanks so much for being here. See ya.